Hey, everybody, welcome to Elseworlds Exchange. Forgot the name of the show for a second. I'm Sal, and I'm joined today by Mark Parker. If you don't know this dude, you do know this dude. Like, the fact is you do, because you're probably a subscriber to one of the many channels that Mike has contributed to, and the illustrious career that he has produced over the last 15 years. Mike, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks, Sal. Thanks for having me.
Mike from Lowbrow Studios, by the way, if you are not familiar with Lowbrow Studios, as I said, you are. You've seen his work everywhere. Adam Ruins Everything. You've seen him on MTV. If you're a big fan of the L Raid Network, you've definitely seen Explosion Jones. But more likely, you've seen his stuff on College Humor, Dorkly, and so forth. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but I just wanted to say, if you do love his stuff, you got to check the description below this video and click on Lowbrow Studios' YouTube channel. It's a font of humor and incredible animation that has been cultivated like a well-forged sword into this implement of humor and awesome. So check that out in the description at any point during the show, and you will find it, click it, and subscribe, because it's just a great channel. I've been subscribed to it since before it was this channel. I think it was like you had two channels, and then you were like, oh shit, I gotta get rid of the old channel with the raving the raving Care Bears and move on.
Still waiting for that audience for that one. There.
I think, yeah. Well, I think we found it, and I think it's gone. But yeah, no. But check it out. It's great. So, Mike, thank you so much for being here, dude.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro.
Of course, yeah. No, that was good. That was good stuff. I'm a consummate professional, but so yeah. I've been watching your stuff for a long time. It's no secret between you and me, of course. And I think every year I tweet like a holiday video of yours from like 100 years ago. I'm like, hey, watch this. But let's talk about your career. Let's talk about like where you got started and where it's heading. When you first got started out, obviously you weren't making animation. You were like me. You're sitting on the floor watching The Simpsons, and then you thought like, but what took you from like, oh my god, this is funny, to, oh my god, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna make that. Because most people don't think, like, I'm gonna hand animate shit. Like, most people are like, I'm gonna write for The Simpsons or be a voice. But you're like, no, I'm gonna make that. Take us from I want to do that to I'm gonna actually do that. Like, back in the day with, like, Flash and whatnot.
It was a lot of, like, just perfect timing with stuff. It was around college, which was, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. I was in college. And my brother and I were writing just like a massive, we had no idea what anything was. We loved The Simpsons and stuff. And I had an idea for a show called College University, which was the first web series that we ended up doing. And it was just The Simpsons in college, like that same sensibility, humor, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wrote like this massive script. We had no idea how long TV scripts were or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we have this, like, we'll just make some drawings, I'll make some characters and stuff, and then we'll just, like, mail it to Hollywood and see what happens. You know, like, we had no
yeah.
So, we had written that thing. It was very funny. We thought it was hilarious. And then I was at school, and I was an art major at school, and this program called Macromedia Flash had come out. I think it'd come out like a few years before, and I didn't know about it. And then somebody had brought it up, and they're like, look at this. It's like animation on your computer, and it's pretty easy to pick up. And so I had a student discount. I used my roommate's computer, and I just started messing around with it and just making like these quick little shorts, just like teaching myself the software. And then I was like, I'm going to make College University. I'm going to take this massive script, chop it up into little pieces, and just make it and just learn as I go. And so that was really the start of it, where we had like a crappy microphone. I ended up my senior year at UConn, there was an independent study course, and my illustration professor let me animate the first 2 episodes as part of that course. So I ended up getting like college credit and a bit of guidance in terms of like, illustration and things like that, that I could apply towards the shorts. So we did the first 2 episodes, and then again, perfect timing. Right around that time, Newgrounds and there was a website called Icebox came out, and those showcased Flash animation, because like the files that you can export from that, called shockwave file SWIFTs, were relatively small at that time.
Yeah.
And you can post those, and you know, people would tune into those and like watch, and you can build an audience and stuff like that. And then once we got up to that point where we were posting stuff and people were actually watching the dumb stuff that we made, it was like a drug of
Yeah.
like, these people are reacting to the stupid stuff that I'm making in this dorm room with my friends
Yeah.
doing voices. And so like now it's like out there in an audience, and like now we have a fan base. And then from there, I mean, I was already hooked on like creating stuff and writing stuff anyway, but like actually having that audience, I couldn't stop like working on it. So
Yeah.
um, after that, like I think I managed to do the first, I don't know, like 3 or 4 episodes while I was still at school, and then I graduated, and I was still just making the cartoon like at home, at my parents' house, and then I got a job, and I was just like doing it at work or doing it after work until like 2 or 3 in the morning or whatever, for nothing, you know. For there's just like I'm just like, it's super fun to do, and I just love it, and I had no plan other than like, you know, every 4 or 5 months when I finish an episode, I get to post it, and people seem to like it.
Yeah.
But then from there, other, you know, Newgrounds was pretty popular at the time,
Yeah.
and internet like comedy or just content on the internet started to become a bit more popular as well.
Yeah.
So after a few years of doing that, I had met Sam Reich from College Humor. He had just started working at College Humor, and he was starting like the originals section of their website. He was kind of revamping the whole thing, and he had seen College University at some point somewhere, and asked me to, you know, do some animation for them, and then eventually create, you know, do we want to create a new series? Or I think the first thing actually was like that he wanted to put College University on College Humor.
Gotcha.
It seemed like a normal fit.
Yeah.
But then at that point, we were kind of like petering out from doing that when I had been doing it for 6 years or 7 years at that point.
Yeah.
And the episodes were just getting longer, and
They were
the animation was getting better, but it was just like, we were just like, you know, it's like a 7-minute episode. I'm like, guys, I can't do, it's like taking forever for me to do these sort of things.
Yeah.
So I had said like, well, maybe we can make a new series for you guys that's not really college based, and just, you know, it's time to try something new for us. So that's when we pitched a bunch of stuff, and that's when I came up with the idea for Clocksuckers, which was the time traveling one.
Yep.
So they loved it, and then I was like, and I was actually going to have like a budget for it, which was the first time of really having like a new series with a budget, and I can kind of start fresh.
Yeah.
And so we did, I think I did the first episode, we started doing it, and I was like, I'm going to quit my job and just try to do this full time now.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, like, were you still working during that time, like the entire time? Was it the same job, or did you have multiple jobs, and what kind of jobs were they?
It was actually my first job right out of school. I was a package designer, which is actually like right down the street from where we are now. I'm in South Norwalk. But it was an awesome job, like in its own right. Yeah, right. I was literally the first day at that job, I was helping design logos and insignias and stuff for Rolling Rock beer packaging. So I was like, well, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, I can't really complain. But it wasn't animation, so I was still just like, I kind of like, you know, I just wanted to do animation.
Yeah, so, you hear stories about like, it's like I'm flipping burgers and I'm just dreaming about Hollywood, and you're like, I get to design these really dope logos and use my skill set, but I could do better.
Right. So yeah, and so then we did Clocksuckers, and that's I had quit my job, and my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, Holly, she had recently quit her job, so it was both of us like in this tiny, smelly apartment. You know, she's a photographer, and I'm an animator, so we're both just like sitting at our desks working like 1,000,000 hours a day.
Yeah.
But it was great. Like, it was what we wanted to do. She was working at like an office job at Time Warner, and it was in its own right super fun for her because like the people there were really fun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what she wanted to do either. So it was like it was very helpful for both of us to be like chasing our dream at the same time. Is like very motivating, and we still do the same thing now. We still work crazy hours, and you know, we're still doing like what we really want to be doing.
Yeah.
but it just my trajectory from there was just sort of the same thing where, we're cranking out animation, and writing stuff, and then getting more exposure. That was like the big thing. College Humor really grew fast,
Yeah.
and the exposure we got from that led to people outside of the internet kind of picking up our stuff for the first time and just seeing what we're making.
Yeah.
And that led to being able to do a short for Nickelodeon, getting into their shorts program at the time. I think it was called like Open Mic. An executive there had seen Clocksuckers and some other stuff and asked us to like pitch and submit to this program. And we ended up getting in, and we got to make a show called The Neighborhood, which the pilot episode is on our YouTube channel. So that was insanely fun to go from like making stuff in your dorm and in your apartment to going out to LA and like meeting. We had Will Friedle and Diedrich Bader as the voices of the characters, and like meeting them and directing them in a recording session. It was just like crazy surreal.
Yeah.
And like going around Nickelodeon studios and like seeing like, all the crazy artwork and like previous shows and stuff. So that was like a dream come true and like a huge learning experience. And then it just kept like kind of leveling up a little bit from there.
Right.
Eventually we got more and more client work, doing stuff from like outside of College Humor for other websites. And it got to the point where we opened up Lowbrow. That was, I don't even know, honestly, like 7 years ago. I'm kind of bad with dates aside from like major life events, I guess. But not that this one isn't, but I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like I've been doing it forever. So
yeah.
So then we opened up the studio, and we had sold a show to Disney, and we were in production with them for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Which again was like a huge learning experience. It's like next level type stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine that like you produce a show for Nickelodeon, you were developing a show for Disney. Can you talk a little bit about like the difference between those two studios, or at least the environment that it was for you, like working in like kind of the similar field, but like making two different shows?
Yeah, so like Nickelodeon, it was a little bit different with Nickelodeon because it was very much like, here's a budget, we're gonna let you just do this and like check in with us when you're done with like storyboards to make sure that you're in the right direction.
Cool.
And animation and animatics and stuff like that. So that one was like, it was the big leagues, but it wasn't like you're officially like a part of it. You're sort of like, okay, go ahead and animate this and then come back to us.
Right, prove it. Like
set, right.
Yeah.
But with Disney, we had teamed up with another writer and a story artist, and those guys were awesome. It was Dave Tennant and Nate Cash, we were working with, and they're in LA, so they were sort of like the faces of the project, and we were we're in Connecticut, so we're checking in with email and phone and stuff like that pretty much like every other day or once a week.
Yeah.
But when we would go out there and like kind of break down the story and like go through all the storyboards and stuff like that, like those two guys are pros, and that was the big difference in our learning experience for that whole process. Was just like these guys, like Dave had written for a ton of shows. He had written on South Park, I think, for a couple episodes, and Scrubs for a long time, and just like a ton of shows. He was, I think, at the time he was a writer for Uncle Grandpa.
Oh God.
And then Nate was a storyboard artist. I think an Emmy-winning storyboard artist for SpongeBob for a long time. So it's
wow.
like, those like to be able to like hang out with those guys and like learn from those guys was a massive experience.
Yeah, it sounds like a kind of like an internship almost. I mean, you're doing on the job work. Like you're really you've already made it. Like at this point, like if Disney's calling you, you're a professional. But at the same time, like I can imagine, being like, I mean, you were an art student, you make these shows, but it was all kind of self-taught. Yeah. And then you get to hear, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm totally with you. And then you're just like taking notes while he's like talking about how he's designing your storyboards, and you're like, yeah, oh, that's what you do? Like, of course, I mean, that's exactly what you do. Yeah,
right,
no.
Right. That's exactly right. Because it was, you get that imposter syndrome where you feel like you're not really supposed to be there yet. And but then like when you're actually contributing and you're doing an act of the pilot and you're boarding that out, or you're writing a draft, or you're making revisions, and like everyone else on the team is like, these are great, things are good, things are looking good.
Yeah.
And then you start to feel like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm learning a lot as well, and like that confidence is a huge part of it. So while it didn't end up doing anything, we got to like the storyboard pitch phase, which was crazy and fun. It kind of petered out from there, and then they ended up passing on it. So that part stunk, of course, because we put so much time and effort into it. But
sure.
At that point, like, we had learned so much from it, and it kind of just used that going forward in not only like when you're making other new shows to pitch or whatever, but also like when you get some new client work, taking that level of professionalism and like that eye towards storytelling, visually, all that kind of stuff, like that's now in your skill set.
Yeah.
It helps, it just helps our studio out in the long run.
Definitely. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been like big moments like that over the course of 20 years now.
Yeah.
And each one has just sort of leveled up our skill set, each time. So it's been fun. I still learn a ton, and I still feel like I don't know a whole bunch, but like, it's all part of the process.
That's true. We kind of like we breezed through it, and I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. The phenomenon that was Newgrounds and where it went, because like there's a lot of people who are watching today who are like, I was not around during that time, like straight up don't know what that is. And it's like, Newgrounds was this thing where it's like, if you took YouTube but only for cartoons, added Reddit, and also like, I don't know, like a game, like an emulator, so you could play video games as well. It was like all in one, and you just sat there and you just wasted all day on it, just watching cartoons, playing video games, and then complaining about them all. And it's like, it's this thing that like I can't, like, we took it for granted because it was just here. It was just like, here's Newgrounds, and you're like, right on, yeah, I'm just gonna find, and like, by the way, like College University was like, there were cartoons, and then there was College University, which was like, hey, here's this show, a fucking show, like a real show. And like, I think the description for Newgrounds is something to the effect of like, it's The Simpsons, like it's The Simpsons of our fucking like platform. Just watch it. We know you're already watching it, and but it was this amazing thing that like, it's emblematic of the phenomenon that we have now, where it's like, remember when they invented this thing and it was super cool, free, and had like 16 different versatility options, and then like some asshole was like, what if I broke that up into 16 individual products and monetized all of them? Because that's pretty much what happened, like, where it's like, oh, I want to watch a cartoon or a TV show, I can watch YouTube. Already there are 25 different streaming platforms that are available. But like, that was so bizarre. When you think about it, when you look back on it, you're like, that's a insane platform, and it came about right when you were developing cartoon, like right when you were like, oh, I can make cartoons using this format, and it's like, oh, and there's a platform directly for that. Like
it was crazy. It's weird. I forget about Newgrounds sometimes, and how like important that was to for me especially, because like I was saying before, like it helped get our stuff out there and kind of just like be a springboard for my career. But there's so many things that were just like so fun and exciting about Newgrounds in general, like the community, and like every week there was just like this competition between like, there's like for those who aren't familiar, there's like a ranking system on there where it's like, it was like the portal was like where you uploaded stuff, and then I forget some of the terminology for the other stuff, but there's like a leaderboard, like the most popular thing, or like the video of the day, things like that. So like when you uploaded your short or whatever, and you got video of the day, or you're like, fuck yeah, man, this is awesome. Like, people love my stuff. And like, that's so reassuring. And it's also, for me anyway, like a competitive thing, or I'm like, yeah, I like knocked that one off a little bit or something. And then like a day later you get chipped down again, and like somebody else is up top. So then you want to be like, all right, let's go again.
But that was kind of the beginning of your ability to get not instant gratification, but like validation from an audience. Like an audience being like, we're here, we have like names. They may be Noobmaster69, but they're still names that are saying like, hey, look at my shit. Like they're watching my stuff.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that is like when you're creative and you're really putting your shit out there and you get someone back who's like, I'm not related to you and I still like it. And it's like that is like a drug. That is kind of addictive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it, you know, the other crazy thing about Newgrounds was like all of the other I'm just like one of the people that it helped set off on a trajectory for animation.
Yeah.
Or just in a creative field in general, or other websites that like, you know, they saw that Flash animation was doing well on Newgrounds. So like, I'm going to do this, but I'll just make my own website and like put my own stuff on there to showcase it. So it really just put like Flash animation on the map in general.
Yeah.
And just like opened up the doors for so many people to have a career in animation, if it's like in a professional level or like making their own stuff and then selling merch or doing whatever from there. So it was just like, I don't know, like I was saying before, the timing of it is just crazy.
Yeah. And when you were developing that kind of stuff, like obviously you're thinking, you know, especially from college to real life, you're kind of thinking like, how can I turn this? I mean, even if you're like, there's no way, you're a realist and you're like, there's no way, you're also thinking like, how can I turn this into a career? Yeah. And like back then, the tools that are necessary to do that were like t-shirts, you know, like I guess, because there was no like, I don't know, advertising. There was no like ingrained advertising like you see on YouTube today. So it was like, yeah. how I give you the product for free, and then you in good faith come to my website, I guess, and buy my Cafe Press shirt, right? Like, because those are my options, like, or leverage those into jobs.
Yeah, I mean, for Cafe Press, I mean, I made upwards of like $80, I think.
Yeah, that's well, because like the margins are insane. Like, you guys had T-shirts, stickers, like everything you could think of, DVDs of the show. Can you tell us a little bit if you know have anything interesting to say about it? Otherwise, just we'll move on. But like, relating this a little bit to our shit, because it's like it's comic related. You got to go through your success, so to speak, of college university to San Diego Comic-Con 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that experience and what like that was like and why you've never been back?
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know if actually.
No, exactly. We went for 3 years in a row, and I had learned of Comic-Con from Tom Falk, the guy who started Newgrounds.
Yeah.
Because they had been going for a few years before that, and you know, when they did it, they were already pretty large, and like they had these crazy booths and stuff. And I remember like they would post like tons of photos of them like setting up their booth and like all the stuff that they would start to build like at the studio.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And so we went, it was me, my brother, and Michael William, who's been my writing partner forever. He's the voice of Sonic. We went out there and just got like a table one year, like the first year, whenever that was, 2000.
I don't know.
Because I was still working at my regular job then.
Right.
So, like, I literally took vacation days to go out to Comic-Con.
Now, did they comp your flight? Because that's really where they get you.
Oh, nothing. I spent so much money in those 3 years, and it's impossible unless you're like a massive place.
Yeah.
Or like a table that sells a ton of stuff, you're going in losing.
Oh no. It's that was the case in 04, 05. That's the case in 1920. Like, I have never made $1 at a con ever in my life. I've only been in the hole where I'm like, okay, like for the year you have to build your finances and go like, well, I'm going to this convention. I'm going to lose however many $1,000 because I need a hotel, I need to fly there or travel. I got to get a booth, which is $400 to $500 to $900. Like, forget it. I don't even get the booth. I'm just like, no, I just go. And then I see people at booths and they're like, oh, do you have a booth? I'm like, fuck no. And they're like, yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it was nuts.
And but your booth was impressive, by the way, because you had like cardboard cutouts of the character. Like, you guys, you know, it's one of those things where it's like fake it till you make it, where you're like, oh no, here's my operation. I got cartoons, I got friggin' DVDs, stickers, cardboard cutouts of my characters, where I'm right next to the big old Newgrounds booth. I got all this shit.
Oh
yeah, we're good to go. Like,
yeah, that was I think the second and third year, I think we had those cardboard cutouts. The first year I just had like a big vinyl banner.
Yeah.
I think, and just like some t-shirts and stuff, and zero plan. Like I didn't know what the plan was.
Well, how do you even know? Like, how do you even?
Yeah, right.
How do you even plan for that?
Like, promote the show, and then like
put stickers on random passerby. Like,
right. So, by the first year was fun. I think it was just like a huge learning experience, and I got to meet a ton of people that you just like email or just like chat with or whatever. And like also just meet some new people that I'm still in contact with today. During that process too, my good friend Rob Feldman, who did Dr. Shroud, which was another, like we came up around the same exact time, and we were both doing Comic-Con, and like we had daily chats about like the type of merch to do and stuff, because he was just as passionate, he still is, as I was, and like super excited about like new merch things or anything like that.
Yeah.
So as it went on, we got more and more like sophisticated with it, hence like the cardboard cutouts and stuff.
Right.
I think the second year we brought in a couple more people to come with us, and or did we? Or maybe that was the third year. I can't remember honestly. And that one I think we actually broke even.
Wow.
We did really well with DVDs and stuff, and like we had a good plan for it, and we ended up doing fairly well.
That's like the Minute Mile. I don't know how you managed to do that.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then the third year we brought so many people, and we were so done with it. That was the year we thought it'd be good. We were put right next to the Newgrounds booth, which was massive, but like the Newgrounds booth is so popular and big for a good reason that we would just get like dwarfed.
Right.
Them, and then like we're across from like a movie studios one or something like that, and then it's just us. We're just like six looking depressed guys with coffee cups with beer in them. It's like 11 in the morning, and we're just exhausted. And there's a certain point, my brother and I had taken a break and just walked around the dock or whatever that area was.
Yeah.
We kind of both said at the same time, we're like, we're not doing this anymore. Which was good. And then I was away from it for at least 6 years. And then during that time we did Sonic for Hire with Machinima, and they had invited us out to be on a panel, me and Michael William. And so that one was like the way to go, where they comped our hotel.
See, you figured it out. It's like, okay,
yeah,
now I'll go. That's fun.
And it was like the difference between the last year we went and that year was insane. Like I didn't think it could be any larger, but it had like, grown up into like the city. And I had just gone in to like the actual convention, because before I would just be at the booth all day long. I would never leave that thing. Right. But this time, like, I went in there to go see the Cyanide and Happiness guys, and I remember, like, I'm in there for like 15 minutes, and I had a fucking panic attack. Yeah. I'm like, this is a absolute nightmare. So I saw those dudes for 2 seconds. I'm like sweating and pale. I'm like, I have to go outside. And then I went outside, and I was like, all right, I'm not doing that anymore. And then like our panel thing was like that night or whatever. Yeah. And that's the way to do it, where you're like, fucking backstage or whatever, and you're just like,
the back.
And then you put on your panel, and then you get out.
That's right. No, there is a back room, by the way. There's like a back hallway, like at major convention centers, like for the quote unquote talent, they'll usher you through a back room, and then you can just duck away, which is. I've done that a few times, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, thankfully, because I'm not in any way coveted or a celebrity, it's like, I'll just walk. It's just, they're like, no, it's not for you. It's because there's too many fucking people in the way, man. And I'm like, oh, I see. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. That humbled me. Thank you.
But again, like, I still, part of me, I love that whole culture, as crazy as it is and stuff. It's so much fun. But like, the things I would notice was like, we would say like we got by like the 4th day or whatever of Comic-Con, I got like face sick. Like I was sick of seeing faces coming towards you. Okay, yeah. I was like, I can't look at people. This is like, I'm getting like sick. Aside from like being in the AC and like,
Oh yeah.
Just sort of like everybody's a little sick and like,
Everyone's a little sick and
Yeah. And, like one of the
yeah.
epiphanies of the, I think it was that last year, I'd gone. You know how there's just like lines for
Yeah.
anything,
Oh yeah.
right?
Right.
It was like out of like a fucking sitcom or something. I'm just walking past people trying to work my way through, and there's a line next to me,
Yeah.
and there's people towards the end of the line, and these two people, they don't know each other. One of the guys goes, he gets in line, and then he's like, "What's this a line for?" I'm like, you don't even fucking know what you're getting in line for. What are you doing? Like, find out first.
I've that's so second nature to me, like not doing it, but hearing that like every single time to the point where like I'll be in a line and people come up to me and be like, "What is this line for?" And then they'll weigh like it's great when they like look at you when you say like I don't know, like a comic creator or a celebrity that like they don't know, and they look at you like ugh, like I wasted their time, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You were about to jump in this line. Don't pretend you're better than me.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, although I will say, okay, so I brought my the guys that I work with are not comic fans, and I make them hear about comics every week, which is fantastic, and I make them go to New York Comic Con, which is like San Diego but worse because it's in the Javits, which is the worst convention center designed by man, and it's always under construction. And I love that they literally they're like working on, in air quotes, a like a wing that they had originally relegated to like being basically a cattle farm, and then they were like, oh, it's closed. So it's like, oh, that's a place where I could cram 3,000 people, and now I've literally not have any place for them. And we're in the basement where they put the celebrities in the celebrity zoo. And there's this line that goes from the one end of the wall to the other end of the Javits up the fucking escalator. And my buddy Ethan just looks at it and he goes, what is this line for? And he couldn't let it go. And he's like walking around the floor. He's like, what is this line for? I go, just ask them like every asshole asks us. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So he's just walking around. He's walking down the line. I lose him for 20 minutes. And I find him. And he finally figures out, he looks at me, he goes, it's for the Green fucking Ranger, Sal. This is the line for the Green Ranger. Who cares? And I'm like, oh, Jason David Frank's a big deal, man. I don't know if you know this. And he's like, how do you know his name? I'm like, you have to know his name, man. That's the Green Ranger.
That's so great. That but level of like confusion and frustration.
He was so mad. That was the Green. He was like, I thought it was like, you know, someone important. And I'm like, the Green Ranger is clearly important, Ethan, if you're measuring it on human souls. That is a big deal. And he's like, yeah, no, I have to leave. Like he left like 20 minutes after that. It's 11 in the morning. He's like, I'm going home. I'm going to sit on the bus for an hour and go home. Fuck this. But so having worked with Disney and with Nickelodeon and going over there, going to the West Coast and working constantly with people on another coast, like you're a Connecticut dude, like you've set up your base operations in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Have you had any like desire, or has there been much pressure to go west? Because I know that like every time I work with like anyone from the West, they're like, oh, you local, and I'm like, no, and they're like, oh, and they look at me like oh, that's too bad. Like, because we're never gonna work together, and I'm like, I could just fly. It's only 7 hours. Like, and they're like, 7 hours? It might as well be 2 years. Screw it.
Yeah.
But like, do you feel that pressure, and you kind of go like, is it like M. Night Shyamalan? We're like, no, I'm gonna be in Pennsylvania, motherfucker. Or is it like, no? I mean, like it really like with animation, it doesn't really matter. Like as long as they get it in on time, it's an email. They don't care.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. There's definitely like early on, there was definitely more of a desire to like try and get out west and set up shop there. But it was just like sort of the way everything happened a bit organically, where I was like, you know, it was time to start a studio, and then I'm like, well, I can't just pick up and move and like set up shop now. It's like a little too late. Like I have clients still happening,
right?
Contracts still out and stuff like that. So we found like cheap space here, and then for me too, like the way I work, I definitely get like tunnel vision. So I'll look up and it's been like 4 years. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah,
I should probably think about this again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little bit different. I mean, like my wife and I are settled here for now. With, you know, we have a house and stuff, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But like our size and the talent that we have in house here, like it works great for us, and it's so easy now to work with freelance artists and contractors from literally all over the world.
Yeah.
To work on projects and stuff. the part where it gets tricky is like if you need somebody who's like of a specific skill set, like a a line producer or something like that for a project that might come up where you're like, well, we might need another producer here.
Right.
It's pretty difficult to find somebody that's in Connecticut that has that experience.
Yeah.
And in New York, you can find somebody in New York too, but it's still a little bit difficult for me anyway.
Hmm.
So if we were in LA, if we were in like in the Austin area or Georgia, that's definitely easier because there's larger bases of studios there and a lot more talent to kind of to work with there locally.
Yeah.
So it gets a little tricky for sure, but I think where we're at right now, like it's working pretty well for us. If we get to the point where we have to expand rapidly, and there just isn't the source of talent pool here, then we'd have to consider doing something else. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like it works for now because like we sort of the way we work when we work on larger projects, we have a pretty large list of animators and background artists and character designers that we work with all the time, and they're all over the place, in the Philippines, in Canada, in India, and plenty in the U.S. On anywhere, either coast, up, down, wherever.
Yeah.
So with all the different tools that we have and that we just implement here, we're just keeping track of stuff and keeping in communication with everybody. Like it kind of makes it a little bit irrelevant. It's definitely easier when everybody's in house for sure, but it works for us for now. So there's not that huge pressure.
Good. You have a team. How did you develop this team and make it what it is today? Because you have a team of like what, 6 including you?
Yes.
Or more?
There's six of us, and then usually during the summers I'll have 1 or 2 interns in the house. So right now there's 6 of us, and Michael William, who I was saying before, my writing partner, he's like a production assistant here. He's learning how to animate like slowly over time, but he helps obviously with writing when anything that we're doing in house.
Yeah.
Acting and pre-production work, which is like making sure we have all the backgrounds and characters set up in files and like ready for the animators to go, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Breaking down shots and like there's certain information that we need from each shot for the animators as well. So it's a lot of things like that. Alex, who's been working with me for over a decade now. Alex is from Connecticut, so everybody's local here.
Yeah.
Able to like find them and work with them for long enough. So when Alex started, he was an intern with me, literally coming to my apartment like once a day, and this was before I had a budget. I would pay him in Robex juices. They're like a Jamba Juice.
Yeah.
So that was very professional. And then eventually I was able to pay him with U.S. currency.
Oh.
Which was a step up. But Alex does all the animation work for Dorkly.
Oh, wow.
So he's like a pixel master.
Cool.
So he's been working with me forever, and like I would kind of show him this because early on with Dorkly I would do the animation for it, and so I was still learning a bit about pixel animation in Flash, and I kind of just taught him what I knew, and then like as it went on, like he does it. It's like he's working on in his own little division of lowbrow.
Right. Just pixels. That's cool.
Manager. She's been working with us for 3 years now. 3. And she does everything that in regards to like setting up projects and making sure everything's on time, and doing some of the stuff that Michael William does too, like setting up files, and it's a bit of everything. Then we have Travis Cataldo, he's an animator and director here. He's like what's important at lowbrow is like how to do a little bit of everything,
right?
Especially with a small staff. But Travis is like super versatile and picks up stuff real quick. So it's great having somebody like him around where you can be like, you're like, I need a hand with this, and he's like, yep, I get it, and he just gets it, and he knows exactly what he's doing. That's awesome. And then there's Austin McDonald, who's new here. He's been for about 1.5 years now. He's from UConn as well, and he's a production artist and animator, and it's great having him around. He brings a very different style. His natural style is very unique and fun. I love it. when he started working here, I had him art direct a short that we were doing, that we're pitching and we produced, called Kuki the Kukijin, and
Yeah.
his style like is that show, so it's great like having just something very different from what we normally do.
Right.
And he can jump in production and animation and stuff like that as well. And then there's me, and then our interns, depending on their skill set and stuff. I like to have like a learning environment for an intern. Like just having an intern and have them go get coffee is like pointless.
Yeah.
So like we try to throw them right into the fire and like teach them stuff as they're working, and hopefully that they're able to learn on the job that way.
Right.
So it's good. Like we've been slowly growing over the years and stuff, and then like just depending on this, like I was saying before, depending on the style of a project, we have like small teams of animators, individual animators and stuff, and like we're very familiar with their own skill sets and what they're good at, and what I would prefer to have them. Some of them are better at timing, some of them are better at action scenes, some of them are better at facial acting, things like that. Like you all take that into account.
Yeah.
When you're assigning a project out. So it's like over the years we've had a lot of time to build like this sort of refined team. And then every once in a while there's like a project is bigger than the talent pool that you have, so you get to branch out a little bit more and find some new people. Some work, some don't. And that's how we've been doing it for the past, I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. In regards to that, how many projects do you usually have like going at one time? Or is it kind of like it's all over the place, you never know?
Yeah, it's weird. It's a little all over the place. We're slow right now, for sure, but like at our peak, I mean, we have anywhere from like 24 to upwards of 30 projects. Like, and it's just depending on like, because it's a lot of like little projects or like series that the episodes are stacked, or the production is stacked, so you're working on like 2 or 3 episodes at a time, and each one of those episodes has like different parts of production. So like episode 1 you might already be in animation phase on, and then episode 2 like you might be doing animatics for it, and then episode 3 you might be doing character design and background design. So like all that stuff, it's a ton to keep track of. So we have a good system to like write shit down, and like we have different websites and stuff that we use to help track all that stuff. So that's where it like gets pretty hectic. And then like a lot of times when it's really busy like that, a lot of times what I'm doing is like giving notes and directing and being quality control and stuff before it goes out to the client, things like that. So that's where it's good why everybody has like their own like they can all wear different hats, because one day you might need to direct a short, one day you might need to like make sure a character's rigged properly or something like that. And those are very different skill sets to have, but it's stuff that we do like from hour to hour here.
Right. What would you say was one of the hardest projects that you guys have gotten? Oh man, one of the harder ones was last year was Humankind of for Facebook Watch. We had been, I love that series. It was super unique. It should still be on Facebook Watch, but we did 15 episodes that were like 10 minutes long or so. Wow.
And the schedule was crazy. That was the hardest part, was just the schedule.
Yeah.
But on top of that we're a Flash animation studio primarily. This project was Toon Boom, which is awesome, but it's just much more complex, and like you can do a lot more, or you need to know a lot more about the project. So that was sort of like a double-edged sword a bit. But the project grew after production had already started, and the schedule kept having to shift a bit, and we were missing a lot of internal deadlines and stuff. But it was that one was difficult just for the sheer amount of work that needed to be done in that time.
Yeah.
So there was like a period where I had a couple different periods where I had worked, I think like 36 straight hours, and I was sleeping at the studio.
Yeah.
And so that was like really difficult, just in terms of that. And then, but we ended up getting nominated for an Annie Award for that. So that was like pretty fun. It was for production as well, which was like what we were doing.
Yeah.
So that was like a little bit validating. So that one, in the long run, like I would definitely like plan better for that, or like build in some stuff to so that we don't have to work as crazy like that. But
Yeah.
having that like people notice like, oh, the production was really nice on that was a little bit validating. So it
Sure.
kind of softens the blow a little bit. One of the harder ones was Adam Ruins Everything. A few seasons ago, they had done a fully animated episode, or we had done it, and again, that was in Toon Boom. And the final product looked great, but like that one was really difficult. The schedule was tough on that as well, but the notes process was really tough.
Hmm.
That one.
For those who are not familiar, notes are like the kind of notes that come up from on high, like change this, do that, I don't like this, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So what kind of notes were you getting that were like
it was
making
like
it difficult?
the sheer amount of notes. So
Got it.
there's like when we were doing Adam Ruins Everything, it was one of the most fun shows to work on because every episode, every script, there's maybe like one or two animated segments in it, and like it can vary from like one is Scooby Doo and one is like stop motion or something like that, and like
Yeah.
you kind of have to like learn how to do all that stuff and like make sure that it looks exactly how it should look.
Right.
And that's a super fun challenge to have. But Adam is super particular. It's his show, it's his baby, so you expect it. And he's a very like specific and a very specific person, and it wants things to be just right.
Got it.
So it made the notes process difficult because the normal process for animation, like you want to have, by the time you get to what's called the animatic, which is just like a rough, it's like a storyboard that's put to the audio. So like the timing is set. Like once you get to that point, the timing is what we call it's like locked.
Right.
And any changes after that, you can still do, but they're a pain in the ass to do.
Mm-hmm.
The way Adam Ruins Everything worked was that like he was doing everything for the show. So notes, we were getting notes after animation had already begun. Like we had to start animation for the schedule.
Sure.
So we're getting notes in late, and they some notes had like a ripple effect where they're like like we can do that, but that affects like 7 other shots, so we have to do that as well.
Right.
And that's not common, but like still, you have to account for that in the schedule and in your work hours and all that kind of stuff, and in the budget. So that was like a lot of we were getting during like the third or fourth animation pass, we're still getting like 9 pages of notes. And you have maybe 3 days to turn that around, so that the production in the West Coast can keep their schedule.
Right.
So you're like, shit, what am I possibly supposed to do for this? So that one was really just tough for the schedule and for the amount of notes and stuff, and just making sure that it, that everybody was like, you want them to be thrilled with the final result.
Yeah.
And so like, as shitty as like working those crazy hours might be, like, I'm a responsible production company. Like I want to do that and make it right.
Yeah.
So that one was tough, and it was also tough too because right when the production was slated to end, we had a family vacation with my wife's in-laws. We do every year, so I had to like cancel out on I think the first 2.5 days of that vacation to make the deadline.
Yeah.
And I think it was so the this is a funny stupid anecdote that came from that was like so I delayed my flight. Holly's out there already, and my flight had got delayed by a couple days, and my flight was like leaving at 6 a.m. so I had to leave at 4.
Yeah.
It was in LaGuardia, which is the airport in New York, and I've worked a day straight at this point, and I can't drive. I'm hallucinating essentially.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna get like an Uber, but it's like 4 a.m. And I just live like basically in the suburbs. So I'm like, nobody's gonna be around really.
No.
Right. So luckily I got it, and there's a car coming close to it. I'm delirious at this point. Right? I just need to get to the airport so I can like sleep.
Yeah.
So I get in the car, and the guy, I don't know, I'm not sure where his accent was from. My generic like funny accent is just like a raspy voice. But I get in the car. The first like tip off that I should have been tipped off from. He goes, okay, where are you going? I was like, LaGuardia? Okay, what's that? I was like, oh, like, how do you not?
What?
No, I was like in a panic. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's the one of the largest airports in this area. I'm like, how do you not know what LaGuardia is? And then like he's like, oh, I got it. I figure it out. And he's just, you know, like slapping
Punching
on
it
his
in.
phone, GPS and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're driving away. I'm just like longingly looking at my car. I'm like, should I just get out right now?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, just please just put it in your GPS and I just need to get there. So we go and I fall asleep before we even hit the highway.
Yeah.
And I wake up like 10 minutes later and he's pulling off the highway into a gas station. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I need gas. I got to get gas. I go, all right, you got to hurry up, man, because this flight, like I can't miss this flight.
Yeah.
So he goes and runs. He doesn't park at the gas pump. He parks like by the place, like the convenience store.
Right.
And he runs in and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And then I fall asleep again. I wake up 10 minutes later and he's not back.
You're not
yet.
moving. Oh, shit.
So I'm like, what the fuck? So I get out, right? And I've already like canceled his ride.
Yeah.
And I had Lyft on my phone, so I got Lyft instead.
Oh, nice.
And there was one like 5 minutes away. So I get out and I head towards the convenience thing, and he's running out of the convenience store with like 4 or 5 like Gatorade bottles, like this. Was like hustling back to his car.
Uh-huh.
And he runs past me. I go, dude, I canceled the thing. I can't fucking wait this long. He goes, okay, okay. He didn't even stop. He just gets in his car with the Gatorades and just goes.
Like,
what?
Where are you going?
I was like, what? Possibly, what was this? What happened?
What did this turn into? Did he rob them? Like,
yeah, I was like, did this even happen?
Right.
And then thankfully, like, 2 minutes later, this lady comes up in her car and we get there on time. She made awesome time from there.
Nice.
And I was like, but I can't describe how I could physically feel my heart sink when you asked what LaGuardia was.
Yeah, I'm not making this flight.
Yeah. So silver lining out of that crazy project and missing half my vacation. That was, I still tell that story. It's pretty fucking hilarious.
You got to meet this man.
Yeah. I got to ride in a ghost Uber that doesn't actually exist.
Right, that never really happened.
That Uber died 5 years ago.
Exactly. So, all right. I just love the idea that this is his thing. He takes rides that are way out of his jurisdiction. He fucking goes. He tricks you into thinking that he's not going to do it, so you cancel the ride. He goes to convenience stores and he robs them of their Gatorades, which is literally like, those are his refreshments for the next rides that he's going to be giving. And he's like, no, I give them the Gatorade. Would you like a Gatorade? I have all these Gatorades in my car. That makes up for the fact that the car smells like vape and that like it sucks, and that I don't know where the hell the most major metropolitan airport is.
It's a perfect system. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why you had to wait so long for Uber and Lyft, because this is a foolproof system, and I've never regretted it ever having used it. It's like scary as fuck. Like I hate Uber, and I live in the suburbs myself, and so I never use it unless I'm like on the job, and it is. Yeah. It is the worst. Like, you open up the app and it's like ants are crawling over your screen with all these like cars, and they're all just like zigzagging around the same area you are, and you're like, none of these people are gonna help me. It's just gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's never been good. It's always been, this sucks. And one of my colleagues, Rob from Comics Explained, used to like engage them, like in a big bet where he's like, so how long you been Ubering?
Yeah.
And I'm like, they don't care, and neither do I, man. Why are you asking? Now we got to talk to him for however long. Like, how far away is this place? 20 minutes.
That's the best. I know. To get an Uber driver that's not big on small talk is perfect.
That's all I want from like literally every interaction in my life. Like, I just need a barber who hates me, like, who just wants to do a good job and just leave me alone. Like, can you just cut my hair and just be quiet? Like, every single interaction, every grocery store, every car I get into is just like, don't talk to me.
I know.
I'm just like living in a perpetual hangover of just like, please don't bother me. And I don't know why. I'm like, I don't hate people, but apparently I do. So never mind.
I think it's the Northeast, honestly.
It really is, right? It's just like, just get the fuck out of here.
My parents had moved to Vermont. They live in Vermont now.
Nice.
And like, that's like, the people up there are much more friendly.
Yes. And
my dad grew up here. He's like he keeps to himself a lot and stuff. He's like a big burly guy, and he just doesn't like people knowing about his life and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when he first got up there, he didn't know what to do when people are like making small talk. He thought they were like starting shit with him. Like, yeah, they're nice. It's called being nice. It's like,
how you doing? What does that mean?
He gets it now, but like
That's fucking awesome.
he's so used to that, you know, this area, this sort of like life.
Yeah.
That when people are friendly, like my wife is from Kentucky, in like northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area. People there are very friendly and stuff, and like it's just I'm used to it now, but it's just noticeably different from around here.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you can't even like hide it.
Yeah. Can you? This is very much like, okay, well, whatever. But it reminded me of like the kind of grumpiness. This is a long time ago, but like, can you tell the story about how your brother went to a furry convention by accident?
Yeah. So, my brother and his girlfriend at the time, now wife, they used to own a CrossFit gym. And it was really successful and stuff in Connecticut, and they sold it recently. But they're like semi-retired now, which is insane.
I know, yeah.
So they had gone. There was a CrossFit like convention for like trainers and stuff, and I think business owners in Detroit. And so they had gone up there, and the same hotel. It must have been the same hotel that the convention was.
Yeah.
At the same weekend or something, there was a furry convention, and like my brother's like me, and his wife is like me. We're like, I didn't know what furries were.
Right.
You know, enough to be like,
oh, that's what this is.
At all. So
yeah.
They don't know what is happening. Like they get there, and there's a mix of like CrossFit athletes and people walking around in like full costume.
Yeah. And
they just assumed that it was like something about mascots or like some Comic-Con thing or something. Right. And man, it's been a while since I remember all the details that my brother was telling me about it. But there was like, I think there was like a sauna involved or something, like a hot tub. Mm-hmm. There's just like, they just locked themselves in the room at a certain point because once they figured out what it was, they were like, oh my gosh.
They don't want to bump into them at the bar.
Yeah. So is the whole point of it so that they have sex with the costumes on?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like the short version is yes, they have sex with costumes on.
I mean, to each their own, but like
no, right on, yeah.
About it, like in a hotel, like in hanging around the hotel, like.
I remember the first New York Comic Con I went to. You know, the cosplay was incredible, and I'm like, wow, like that's what I've always wanted to see. Like, you know, like that's that character, but fucking real. How'd they manage to do that? And then I'd see what I found out was later furries, and I was like, wow, that is a incredibly intricate, like he looks like a cartoon character, like he's incredible looking. And my friend just gives me a nudge and he's like, he's fucking in that costume, and I'm like, right on. Like, no, I mean, probably I mean, like most of these cosplayers probably fucking in their costumes. He's like, no, that's a costume that's like he's wearing a sign that says I have sex in this costume. He is what's known as a furry. And I'm like, oh. And then every time I see them, I'm like, oh. And I feel really bad because like because I've seen children who are like, wow, like who are like really impressed because they look like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Like for real, like they're incredible. Like their mouths move, like it's like they're Disney animatronics, and I'm like, that's fucking intricate. But I see his children and I'm like, wow, a cartoon dog like walking around, and they're like, get away from him, don't look at him. And I felt like a little kid just being like, that's awesome. And they're like, it's not. Don't get excited. And I'm like,
it's traumatizing kids who can't, their parents are like hustling them away from their favorite mascot.
Exactly. I love the idea that your brother thought it was a mascot convention. Like, wow, there must be a lot of Timberwolves fans out here. Like, no. But yeah, so here speaking of sequiturs, what were some of your toughest characters to design? Let's just move it on. Let's just okay. Sure. Let's ground this episode a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
Right. I guess it depends on like how complex they are. Like now, it's like some of the WWE characters that we do are pretty complex, and it makes it so WWE ones are kind of. We do a show called Storytime for them that airs like on WWE Network, and on some episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
And those ones are can be tricky because for a couple of reasons. Like the stories take place at certain time periods, like when they're just referring to like something that happened in the 80s or 90s or whatever.
Right.
And the characters, some of them have like complex, costumes or outfits, but it's also like, this was from the Undertaker from 96 or something like that, and his costume was very different from the one that he had like 5 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So like making sure that you have the right type of outfit and all the pieces on the outfit work for like an animator to actually use. So those things can get pretty difficult. It really comes down to like complexity, like how complex it is.
Gotcha.
Or like the style of it as well. The show Explosion Jones that we did for El Rey, that if were a trucker that's at a truck stop at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, you were the ones that were watching the show. It's like the only time they air it now.
Yeah, I remember being really excited. I was like, "Hey, cool! Like that's awesome, man! Michael Madsen is and parodying, action movie schlock. Like that's great. When do I catch it?"
Yeah, that's the problem. I know that's the issue. Like that was our first big official TV show that we made, and like when I tell people that, like, what channel is it on? El Rey.
Do I get that?
And they're like, okay, that's. And then you have to get into who Robert Rodriguez is and stuff.
Yep.
Those ones were fun, but they were difficult because it was like vastly different than the other stuff that we do. A lot of the ones we do is like Simpsons-esque type characters,
right?
Like styles. But these ones, like I wanted like a G.I. Joe 80s animation type feel to them generally. So those ones were just like tricky to get the look right. But we had worked with a character artist for that whole show, Eric Minkin, who was awesome. That was so like I was nervous about like, can we pull off this style? Because normally my default is like, well, I'll design these characters, and my style is I can do a different amount of styles, but I kind of end up defaulting back to Simpsons or cartoony more.
Yeah.
But then I asked Eric if he could do some, and like the first or second pass, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. But what made it tricky was like, we want the different angles. So that we want like full turns. So it's like front facing, 3/4 profile, back view, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In that same style, which is more complex than what we normally do. A lot of our stuff is like time and budget sensitive. So you just keep it simple. But these ones, like I wanted some better movement and action and stuff. It's an action show. So that one was difficult just in pre-production, but we approached it very like methodically. Like, all right, well, we have everybody set up exactly the same way. Once we have like all the hands built out, we can reuse those hands for other characters, things like that. So like, luckily at that point, we had learned a lot about the pre-production process so that we had a character as complex and different as Explosion Jones. And we were still able to like fit that into our production pipeline pretty easily. But it just took that little bit of extra effort. And then once it got into animation, it was actually pretty simple from there.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty difficult. And then actually now I'm thinking about it, one of the harder ones for me was a short series that we did called Battle Action Robot Force for Machinima.
Yes, which is now on your channel. You can watch the entire series.
Which we're doing until somebody notices that it shouldn't be up there.
I had a feeling. I was like, oh, I don't think this...
Yeah, so we'll just see. If somebody complains about it, we'll take it down. But like, it was kind of shitty for everybody involved when Machinima got shut down. That the stuff got pulled and it's just being it's just
sitting there, right? Like,
yeah.
Is there other stuff besides barf that's
Yeah, so like we have today actually we're posting Chase Siddharth created Mega Man Dies at the End. That was another one that was on Machinima. But he posted season 1 on his channel last week, and we're actually posting season 1 on our channel today.
Nice.
And then we'll do season 2 in a couple weeks. We did the full series for Mortal Kombat as well.
Yeah.
Machinima show. So those ones, it was just like, let's just do it and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Because it's just sitting there. It's like, it's all this, you put in all this work, and there are fans. Like, there are people who are like, I loved Mega Man's Eyes at the end. Like, I wanted to know what happens at the end. I missed the last episode. I myself, I missed it. Like,
yeah, I honestly, I don't remember. Oh, actually, I do remember
how it ends.
Yeah.
I think he dies.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, I felt bad too, because we would get a lot of requests from people like, can you guys air that stuff? And for a while I was like, well, no, we can't because they took it down. But then when we started the new channel, we've been working with Nick Mundy, a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
And he's been strategizing and running the show for us online. And he was just like, yeah, let's just put it up and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. Worst thing you can do is flag it, and then you just take it down. That's
yeah. But so for the characters for Battle Action Robot Force, they're robots, and like, you know, robots are boxy the way you design them and stuff. Yep. But like the way, if you design a robot's arm like in one way, it's a perspective, but the second you move it somewhere else,
it's a different box.
It's out of perspective, so you have to draw those different angles and stuff.
Oh my god, yeah.
So it took a bit of figuring out. That was early on too, where I wasn't quite as like refined in designing and stuff, characters. So by the time we got to when I was doing that one, I was like, ah, shit. So I had to redraw a lot of stuff and like make it a little weird.
Yeah.
So that one was difficult, but it just took a little bit of extra time.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, you know, each one has like its own little challenges and stuff, but
sure.
We kind of just follow our same pipeline, and you figure out a good system from there.
Yeah. And finally, just before we go, I just wanted to ask one more question, which was, what was the experience like directing Macho Man Randy Savage in one of your earlier cartoons? Because Macho Man Randy Savage played a voice in one of your episodes of College University, who is no longer with us, and he seems like an insane person. And shortly after that episode aired, the Macho Man on Coke video became a viral sensation, and I would love to know what it was like to have, because as I understand it, and this is just going back a ways, you had to direct him over the phone. You would like call him, be like, okay, so I really want you to, like, I would love to know the experience of talking to Macho Man, setting up the direct, like, hey, Macho Man, like, do you have to call him Macho Man? Like, what was that all about?
I called him Macho Man. I don't even know what his real name is.
I think it's Randy.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So that was very surreal. When I was a kid in the 80s, I was a WWE fan, and Macho Man was my favorite wrestler because he's so fucking weird.
Yes.
And he didn't move like a human being. Like nobody talks and moves like that.
No.
But apparently he does. So that was when we were doing College University, and that was our first like celebrity voice.
Yeah.
And we had that opportunity through a friend of ours, Johnny Tidwell, who helped us out. He helped set up all that stuff. I forget how exactly I think, to make it even weirder, at the time, Macho Man had his rap album coming out.
Yes, you had to plug the album, and you couldn't have them make fun of it?
Yeah, so like we couldn't make fun of it, and we had to play like a couple songs. We were like, sure, that's fine. So we set up. So again, I'm working at my regular job at the time. I either called in sick or I lied that I had a doctor's appointment so that I could go home and direct Randy Macho Man Savage on the phone. And so he's at the recording booth, and he was awesome. Like, he was so fun. Like, he sang the dumbest stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like I had him do some alts, which is just like variations of the lines that we had written. He had just been in the Spider-Man, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
Where he was Bonesaw. So I had him say something about Bonesaw that I don't think we even used. But so halfway through, like, he's saying the lines, and you know, normally when you're recording something with someone, you have them say the lines 3 times. They can say it various different ways, and then like you stop, you give notes, and then you do it again, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was so great at it. Like, he was doing it. I mean, I had written it in his voice. So like, you know, the stuff I'm writing, I'm expecting him to say it in his voice. And he did it exactly how I wanted it every time. I was like, Macho Man, this is awesome. You're doing so great. He goes, what do you expect? I'm a professional, kid. And like, but he said it like lovingly, like, but anything he says sounds like aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was just like dying laughing. And he was just like so nice. And it was such a surreal, there's so many like fun, surreal things that I've gotten to do over the course of my career. But that one was like the first one where I was like, holy shit, like, this is something that I made in my dorm room on my roommate's computer.
Yeah. And
like, you know, a few years later, for no plan, for nothing.
There was no agenda outside of like, it's you're doing your regular show, and like your friend goes, hey, we could probably get Macho Man Randy Savage in here. Yep. And you're like, oh yeah, call him. We have to play his horrible song.
The joy about college university was there's zero explanation for him being there.
But there doesn't need to be. Like,
Right,
it's
exactly.
totally unjustifiable. There's no point.
Right. Zero, nothing at all. He's just friends with Parks.
Yep.
He's like twice the age of everybody. He's just hanging out in the dorm room.
I love that idea. He's just there. And he's in that era of his costume. Like, was there any stipulation where there's like, he can't wear the old costume. He can't be Macho Man from the 80s. It has to be 2003 Macho Man Randy Savage.
Like, there might have been. I don't remember there being too many demands, honestly, from his end. I think we just wanted it. I think maybe there was. That would maybe make some more sense because he had to, he should look like how he looks on his CD cover. And he just had that like midnight onyx black beard that just, just dunked in like motor oil.
Yeah.
And then he had like the black bandana and it was all black and stuff. But in WWE, we've been doing some Macho Man stories with the classic frills and super bright color Macho Man and stuff. It's fun to do. But that one, I just remember him being like so nice for like my first like celebrity like encounter or like to be able to work with somebody.
Yeah.
For him to be like so nice and to just deliver on that stuff and be so fun with it. I don't know. That was like, I was really like heartbroken when he passed away. I like a celebrity death. I can sort of like, I don't know that person.
Right.
I'm sad for the family or whatever. And like, I feel bad, but like for Macho Man, I was like, oh man, that really felt like, heartbreaking to, cause I knew like he was like a very nice person.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, not to make it a downer. I just, thought it was a funny story, but all right.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate the respect. It's very nice. But yeah, so from there, listen, if you haven't already been convinced, go to Lowbrow's YouTube channel. It's in the description. Just click it and subscribe. I'll just put a link in there. Just click it and you'll be subscribed. It's so great, and there's so much more to come. What can we expect from Lowbrow in the near future that like we can all look forward to checking out? Because like right now, like literally for the last like 10 years, there hasn't been a year where there hasn't been like a ton of shit you've made.
Yeah.
So like, what's next?
Definitely. I mean, thanks for plugging our YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe. That we're posting, basically 3 times a week. Actually, even more if you consider we've been doing comics as well. Every day, Thursday, and Sunday on our Instagram, and we post it everywhere else that I write. And so we just go there for like fun videos. Like we'll have on Monday, like today, we tried to do like older compilation stuff just from our library, just to get out there again. Wednesdays we'll do originals. We have shorts. We do like last week we did one about Bullet Bill in that sort of dorkly pixel video game style. We do a lot of stuff with Sonic for Hire characters. The show Sonic for Hire is done in that format, but like those characters we're using for other stuff. And then Fridays we do live streams. Thursdays we might start doing like some video game live streams. We did one last week that was really fun. So we're just having a lot of fun at the studio, just doing like originals and just having fun, just kind of like playing with, drawing and just sort of improvising with that way. So just go and subscribe and you'll, if you just like killing a few minutes or a half hour, just like having our dumb voices in the background and watching us draw silly stuff. It's just a lot of fun. And that's our plan for the future is just keep on making stuff.
Nice. Well, solid plan. It's worked out pretty well so far. But thank you so much, Mike, for being here. We'll see you guys next time with an all-new episode. And, of course, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to us if you want to. But the most important, the takeaway, you're here. The takeaway is, Mike, we'll see you next week. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys then. So long, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.